Oh, let's watch that new How Money Works. It's about the rising repos. How Money Works, YouTube. How Money Works on a generational run past 5 months. I gotta be honest with you, I've been really enjoying the videos. Shout out to How Money Works. The car repossession boom. The car repossession boom. Let's check it out.
America is currently going through a bit of a car repossession boom. Delinquent auto debt over 60 days past due is at the highest level it has ever been, including during the global financial crisis. More repossessions than ever have taken place within the last quarter, and even if you don't personally have a car loan, this could still become a systemic issue that impacts you because auto debt as a whole is higher than it has ever been before. This record debt has also combined with record levels of depreciation to result in massive negative equity for more borrowers, making it harder than ever to back out of these deals, especially on certain classes of vehicles. Now, that sounds pretty bad.
Dude, there's so many of the, I haven't watched them recently, but I used to get all the TikToks of people that work at dealerships getting calls from people trying to trade in their like terribly financed Hummers and shit. Like I'm like a guy who's like, I'm underwater on a Hummer I spent 120 grand on. What can I get for a trade-in value? How can I? It's like there's so many of these people that are completely unable to make their payments and think they can get more than they can for trading it in, and they can't. Too quiet? I don't know. I'm too quiet, or the video's too quiet?
Just on the surface, but it gets worse. Several reports have found that we have slowly made auto lending so complicated and fragmented that between leases, lending, buy here, pay here, cross-collateralized loans, and every other type of way to finance a car, it's become next to impossible to track down how much we really owe and how much is actually being paid back.
And this, my friends, is the heart of the fucking Carvana miracle. I promise you, I don't know when, I don't know where, but I know in my fucking heart, Carvana is a fraud. It is a fraud company. Their revenue growth is fake. They are fucking. I'm a manager. Let me switch my fucking channel. Please, I work there, bro. Then you know, you know, dude. They're overpaying.
America is currently
overpaying for used cars. They're giving They're giving loans to people that can't pay them back. They through fucking Drive Time, which is owned by the fucking CEO's dad. They're hiding the bad loans on the Drive Time books. It's fucking fraudulent. We don't keep loans on the books. Yeah, but who is taking the loans?
Cross-collateralized loans, and every other type of way to finance a car, it's become next to impossible to track down how much we really owe and how much is actually being paid back. Even the regulators themselves have basically admitted that they don't really know how bad the problem is and how much this could all hurt regular consumers. Now, I know this all sounds like yet another symptom of people's personal finances being squeezed, which is, by itself, not exactly that shocking anymore.
Sure.
However, the current repossession boom is, for now at least, a specifically American problem. A problem that is saying a lot of bad things about the unique ways that we borrow, consume, and go broke.
And I don't know, I just feel like a $500 plus car note is absurd.
Record number of Americans are falling behind on their car payment.
Bro, 500. I think I saw that the average car payment is over like 1,000 now. Sorry, it's 749. That's crazy. The average monthly car payment is 749. That's crazy. Something like 10% of buyers have over 1,000 record high 1,000 plus car payments. 40% of $1,000 car payments started in 2024. People are fucking cooked on car payments in America. And they're getting access to loans I mean, if you want to find the closest parallel to subprime from 07, obviously it's a smaller market, but the subprime auto lending market is out of control. You look at First Brands. You look at what was the other one that went under? The other cockroach.
I have $60,000 worth of car debt.
Those loans coming with
Tricolor. Dude, Tricolor. Dude, fucking Tricolor was giving loans, like zero paperwork loans to illegal immigrants. That was their entire market. Was high interest loans to illegal immigrants who, of course, aren't going to be able to pay them back. Ninja loans, basically. No income verification. Yeah, that of course it was fucking fraud, dude. And then they were packaging up the loans and selling them like they were fucking rock solid. They weren't rock solid. They were loans to people that weren't financially secure.
Limited income or credit scores.
The more concerning part, the interest rate being 37% nearly.
Well, the repo man is in high demand. They're working overtime.
It is draining us. It is taking things away from my children.
According to the Recovery Database Network, car repossessions hit a 14-year high in 2024, only slightly behind their peak in 2009. We have already passed that peak this year, and we still have a few months to go. This is especially concerning because consumer protection laws around repossessions have generally gotten stronger since the global financial crisis, which means the same number of repossessions is an indication that borrowers are in an even worse financial situation.
Golden age! Say it with me. We're in a golden age, folks. I don't like when people come with this fucking FUD. We're in a golden age. Things have never been better. Our president is fucking delivering every day the hottest economy on record. People are fucking cooking. The economy is hot, hot, hot. 21 trillion of investment pouring in from all over the country. Nobody's even close. No other president could get more than 2 trillion. Fucking Abraham Lincoln and George Washington combined would lose by 25 in the polls. Okay? This guy's cooking.
Today, repossessions have become such a large industry that it's even attracted the tech bros to skirt around regulations. Some of the old tricks, like impersonating a target with their utility providers to get their address, have been specifically outlawed. So today, repo men take a different approach. Companies like Resolvion and DRN have emerged to fill that gap by creating their own lists. Their business works by driving around camera cars that indiscriminately photograph every license plate they can, including those in private parking lots, and then assigning GPS coordinates to them to build out a database. What this does is let repo men access this database for a fee so that they can get a list of known locations for a specific registration number. Now, not to go too much down this specific rabbit hole, but some of these companies now work off a gig economy model, because of course they do. They onboard affiliate drivers who attach their camera packs to their own cars and then pay them a commission for every repossession that comes from the data they collect. For a lot of people, this is either an alternative or a supplemental revenue source to driving for Uber that happens a lot more passively in the background. Now, this kind of—
Jesus Christ, bro. We got fucking gig workers working as gig narcs to drive around camera snapping everyone's license plate so that we can repossess more effectively the fucking car loans that other gig workers can't afford to pay. That's a fucking golden age. I don't care what you say. Yeah, I don't care what you say. That's a golden age, bro.
Involuntary databaserization would be bad enough by itself, but you might think, unless you've been skipping your car payments, you don't really have anything to worry about, right? Well, a report by Wired found that these cameras—
I guess if your car's about to get repoed, the best thing you can do is sign up for this gig work and then photograph your own license plate. So that when the repo reaper finds you using that data, you'll get a cha-ching. You'll get a fucking cutback. That's good. That's good. Might as well get paid, you know? Might as well get paid.
We're also collecting and cross-referencing information like politically affiliating lawn signs, bumper stickers, and t-shirts. This let them highlight areas and even individuals with stronger support for certain ideas than others. Now, the companies have claimed that this is just another way for them to earn revenue. It's information that they are collecting from public spaces, and it's not their fault if they are just better at arranging it into databases that can be sold off to political campaigns or marketing agencies. Anyway, with that tangent out of the way, what is really funding this data collection right now though is car repossessions, and business is booming for 3 simple reasons. The first is the hangover from the price boom of 2021. During this time, new and used car prices both hit their highest levels ever. Supply chains were disrupted, and people had a lot of extra spending.
Dude, people, I mean, I feel bad actually because people don't fucking know, but people made decisions in this period, 21, 22, that are just going to fucking cripple them longer term. In 21, 22, people had mortgage forbearance, so no paying on mortgage. They had student loan forbearance. They had stimulus money. They just had way more money than they would normally have. And access to credit was so cheap. And so they bought things, longer term things that they cannot fucking afford. And now a lot of it's coming home to roost, bro. They can't refinance because rates are up. They can't. And they bought at like all-time high prices, both for housing and for cars in 21.
Both hit their highest levels ever. Supply chains were disrupted, and people had a lot of extra spending power thanks to government stimulus, and also because other expenditures like vacations and eating out were canceled. Interest rates were also very low, which all made it easy to get a big loan and pay $30,000 over sticker price for a used Toyota Tacoma. Today, record loan sizes have mixed with record rates of depreciation.
Yeah, and again, and you know, the loan officers were predatory, but like back then, they could just make you feel like it wasn't a big deal. Like the car costs fucking 80 grand. What? We'll give you the loan. It's low percent. Because at the time, interest rates were like fucking 1%. So your monthly payment will be pretty low. And so you just don't understand that you're just fucking massively overpaying for something.
To give some all too predictable results. According to Edmunds, the average amount of negative equity in cars and trucks climbed to an all-time high last quarter. Now, so far, the one saving grace has been that prices are still higher than they were before 2020, but that has all resulted in fewer people trading in their cars because they are being forced to hold on to it longer. Now, on a personal finance level, this can actually be a good thing. You don't need to buy a new car every 3 years. But let's be honest with each other here. People aren't holding onto their cars because they have suddenly become more conscious consumers. They are holding on to them because they can't get.
If I see you with the same car you were driving last year, I go, poor, broke. Okay, I'm doing my part. I think everyone should buy a new car every year to keep the economy going and to look cool. I think it's very important. Unless, of course, it's a Honda Fit from 2017. In which case, ride that shit every year, even with a big fucking massive dent in it. That's a timeless car. That's a classic.
Get out of them. This is even more apparent on EVs that were attracting huge premiums 4 years ago, but are now nowhere near as popular as people are seeing problems with long-term battery performance and opting to purchase plug-in hybrids instead. For a lot of people, it's not worth it to make budgetary sacrifices for a car that they are underwater on, so they are just ignoring the problem and accepting that one day their car will be repossessed. Now, the good news is that we are just in the find-out stage of a very unusual pricing shock in the car market. If that was all there was to it then, as the loans were taken out more than 5 years ago start to end, things should start getting better, right? Well, it's time to learn how money works to find out what else is behind the car repossession boom. This video is sponsored by Cape, the privacy-first mobile access, no easy takeovers, just real security. Proton V/gig.
Like a mini game in the fucking
sinking
thing?
car prices shouldn't represent a crisis by itself. Outside of a very small handful of exceptions, it is the expectation that cars depreciate rapidly over time. Like most consumer durables, the retailer, in this case the dealers, have their own markups, which is why a new car normally loses so much value the moment it's driven off a lot.
Yup.
The funny business that happened around COVID was very much the exception to this rule. What really allowed a small little price spike to turn into an economy-wide problem is the increasingly complex ways that we are financing car purchases. In the past, it was pretty straightforward. You would pay for a car in cash, or you would make a down payment and pay back the rest over a set term. This was almost always 5 years.
Yeah.
Today, the variety of car financing options has grown significantly, and almost all of them are designed to let people get into a slightly more expensive car than they otherwise would have been.
Dude, this is the fucking debt cup that I'm talking about. This is the debt cup. trying to find a way to get more debt by making your monthly payment, whatever, but just to get you more, to fill up your debt cup as much as possible. You can get a little bit where you can stretch a little bit farther, and we'll massage it and find a way to get your monthly payment down so you can afford it for longer. But you're paying more in total debt, more interest.
Been able to afford. According to Experian, over 80% of new vehicle sales are financed, but because the industry is so fragmented and underregulated, some third-party estimates put that number as high as 85%. Outdated ideas like having money to use as a down payment have also become a thing of the past over the last 2 decades. This has slowly been replaced by people using the equity they have built up in their previous car to use as the down payment on their next car, re-extending the loan term and principal. Sometimes even that is too much.
It's crazy.
The rate of trade-ins where the previous car has more owing on it than it's worth has hit its highest level ever, with 1 in 4 cars being traded underwater. Dealer financing is still pushing through these sales though, even if they have to get creative with car values, because of the biggest broken incentive of all. Dealerships aren't really in the business of selling cars. They are in the business of writing loans.
Yeah.
The cars are just something that get borrowers in the door. Now, while
But here's the important part. I think this is one of the biggest things that breaks so much of the economy is that people aren't responsible for the loans they write. They sell them to someone else. If a bank was responsible for its own loan, then they would be incentivized to be risk averse, to make sure you could pay it back. Car dealerships, if they were giving you the loan and you didn't pay it back and they lost money, then they'd have to make sure that you could afford this car. They would give you a car you could afford. But because they can package the loans up and sell them as a stream of revenue to someone else who doesn't know exactly what's in this package, I mean, it's the same as 07, but it's like the 07 playbook applied to everything. And so all these car companies or these private financing companies, these shadow banks, can just give you loans for shit you can't afford and then package those loans up and then sell them. And ideally, they get someone else to fucking rate them as fucking great. Rate them as safe and secure. Again, Tricolor and First Brands were both rated the equivalent of AAA before they fucking crashed. So, who is buying random loans? It sounds like random loans, but what it really is, right? It's like this. Like 1 or 2 loans is random. Okay, but what if it's like 1 million loans? If it's 1 million car loans that are all paying, 6.5% interest, okay? I'm too small here. Then you just package that up as like a, I don't know. It has such an incredible title. I'm trying to fucking get a title of it. It would be like structured auto credit, whatever. Okay, but let me look. Like, here's an example. Like, okay, auto asset-backed security issuance. Okay, something like this. Okay. And the idea is, as long as enough of these people are paying their car loan, this generates about 6.5% return every year. So if you're a massive, you could say hedge fund, or you could be like insurance, or you could be like a pension. Let's say you're like a state pension for Minnesota, and you have a job with all this fucking pile of pension money. You need to make 5% a year. You have to make this money to make people's retirement go up, okay? That's your job. You have to manage this money. So I want to put it somewhere safe. Well, here's somewhere safe. This is a guaranteed 6.5% return. So I'll take this pension money and I'll dump it in these fucking auto loans that generate this steady revenue increase. Okay? But what the problem is, these groups are stupid. These groups are stupid and they don't look closely on what's in the inside of these things. And so you drill down in them and you find that they're like fucking dog shit loans. They're dog shit loans, people that can't afford the car they bought. And so they're not going to make 5%. But if the car dealership wasn't allowed to package these up and sell them, if they had to assume their own risk, then of course they would take less risk. Like, the problem isn't that you can get a loan. The problem is that it's the moral hazard of not having your own risk, of offloading the risk to someone stupider. It's very similar to Big Short, but with auto loans. That's correct. I'm going to sound like a crotchety conservative, but how about some personal responsibility? We shouldn't be taking out loans we can't afford, but we do, and these loans are asset for the lender, and they should be able to sell them if they want. So yeah, I'll disagree with you on a macro level. On a micro individual level, of course, the best advice you can give someone is to be fucking careful with what you spend on, of course. But when you see statistical growth so massively, it is a sign that the system is set up to not punish this obviously fraudulent behavior. People do need cars, and everything is set up, incentivized, people much larger scale than one person, to push them into a car they can't afford. And they don't know they're taking on the risk they're taking on. They don't know that. They assume they'll be able to fucking make this payment, and this car will be fine. They don't know what they're getting into. And so there has to be some level of checking. And again, it's also fraud. Like, it is illegal what's happening. Like, no one's investigating it, but honestly, what's happening is someone like a Tricolor gives these loans to illegal immigrants. Okay, first of all, I don't think they should be able to do that. But then they do this to get them into cars that they can't afford. Then they package them up, and then they pay someone, a third-party agency, to rate this group of bonds as like AA, or as higher quality than it is. And so this pension fund just goes, okay, this is a AA rated thing. It's a certain amount of risk. I can take it. And then they buy it. Like, there is fraud in this. Packaging these loans and then obfuscating what's inside, and then, paying someone else to, like, they're not being honest about the level of risk.
While this fact alone might not be that surprising to you anymore, it has encouraged continuously pushing the bounds of what is normal in car loans. The financing manager at a dealership obviously has commission incentives of their own, but they are also colleagues with the sales staff who will depend on them to get a deal done. If they want everybody to get paid and avoid awkward silences in the break room, there is a real incentive to write a loan by any means necessary. This actual peer pressure is at least part of the reason why delinquencies on dealer loans are more than double that of loans from other sources, according to data from the Consumer Credit Panel of the New York Fed. Now, if lowering lending standards and down payments wasn't enough, the biggest lever that the industry has been pulling is extending loan terms. 5-year loans have gone from being the industry standard to now being less common than 7-year loans, according to market data compiled by Bloomberg.
Isn't that fucking crazy? This is the 50-year mortgage, but in the car version. Instead of 5 years, 7 year. If they can't fucking get you to afford it at the current level, they just extend the years. And people, either they're desperate and need a car, or they don't understand how much interest payment that adds. But when you extend the terms of your loan, when you make it last more years, your monthly payment goes down, but your actual payment over the lifetime goes way, way, way up.
Number of lenders are now offering terms of 144 months for loans up to 120% of the car's value. In plain English, what this means you could do is trade in a car that you are $10,000 underwater on, put no cash down, and take out a $60,000 loan to buy another $50,000 car, which you will be paying off over the next 12 years.
Holy shit, you look good though.
Now, the interest rates and fees on these loans are usually nothing short of catastrophic. But spreading the loan out over that long does minimize monthly repayments. And since most of these borrowers are going to trade in their car again before paying down the loan, that's all they really care about. As people are increasingly taking out 6, 7, or even 12-year loans on cars that they are on average replacing every 3.5 years, they are making very little progress on the principal of these loans and therefore extending the period in which they could suffer serious financial difficulties. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, while they still exist, highlighted this as one of the most damaging financial practices in the economy today and highlighted it as one of the leading causes of loan delinquencies. So lenders shouldn't exactly be shocked, Pikachu, that the repossession rates are skyrocketing. But they are going to keep going on, not just because it makes them money, but because it makes money in the right kind of way. As terms have gotten longer, loan sizes have also increased, which has also allowed us to buy more expensive cars. I mean, who knew extending loan terms and equity requirements would just drive up prices on underlying assets? But anyway, the bigger issue is that these loans have become a valuable asset class of their own. When a dealer writes a car loan, they are usually using a third-party credit provider to actually pay out the money. As part of that deal, those providers will pay the dealer a commission for the business they are bringing them, and the longer the loan term, the bigger that commission is. Most of these loans then get securitized and sold off to other investors.
This is why, by the way, the dealers won't give you, they'll give you a cheaper car if you get the financing. It's fucked up. So what you kind of have to do, I mean, the dream is, if you have the money for a car, is you negotiate the best deal and say you're going to get the loan, and then you pay off the loan instantly or as quickly as you can. The problem is they've gotten wise to that, and they've put in like early payment penalties. It's kind of fucked up. Again, this is what I didn't pay it off that early, but I did pay off my car loan early for the Honda Fit. And I did financing to get the best deal on it, and then I paid it off a few years later. But nowadays they've included in the contract penalties. It's kind of fucked up.
So that neither the lender or the dealer needed to use any cash of their own. Now, the paperwork involved in doing all of this costs a bit of money, but that is a fixed cost. It takes just as many man-hours to put together a 3-year loan as it does a 12-year loan, but the lifetime interest on the latter is almost 6 times higher, making it far more profitable for these middlemen. Now, if you think that's bad, don't worry. It gets worse. Turning people's transportation into a recurring revenue stream still has challenges because of silly little things like regulations and lending standards. They might be on the floor, but they are still there. Fortunately, a new model of car subscriptions is becoming increasingly popular. So, yeah. Can't see that going badly. The final change pushing the repossession boom is that all of this is starting to catch up with higher income earners as well. When we think of people getting their cars repossessed, we naturally think of people with bad credit, unstable employment, and poor financial literacy. Now, subprime customers like this do still make up a majority of loan delinquencies.
This is
and
a sad
subsequent
video.
repossessions. But that is more or less
what a sad stock footage.
Amongst this
oh my gosh, my heart just broke for that woman in the stock photo. That was so sad. Why did she act so good? That was crazy. That made my heart break. How money works? Fucking.
There was a brief improvement in their loans around 2020 thanks to stimulus, lowered interest rates, and deferments on other debt.
Yeah.
Today, however, the delinquency rates on their borrowing is more or less back to where it was before the pandemic. It's not good, but it's predictably not good.
Me when
the
Big A doesn't
a lot
stream.
of these loans will not be repaid in a timely manner is why subprime auto loans have much higher interest rates. The real difference right now is an increase in delinquencies coming from people with average or even above average credit. Late payments amongst these groups have roughly doubled since before the pandemic, and even though the rate of—
Yeah, but here's the thing. This is the fucking trick. This is what fucking Bill Moreland put me on, dude. So in 2020 and 2021, so you guys have credit scores, right? And some of you have bad credit scores, just be honest. I've had bad credit. Your score goes bad when you have a negative credit event. Okay, that's what it's called, a negative credit event. That's where usually it's you missing a payment. You miss a payment, or that's the biggest one, the negative credit event. Okay, so you'll see, like if you miss your student loan payment or something, you get this big deduction in your credit score. That's how they go down. So without those negative credit events, generally credit scores trend upwards pretty fast, actually. If you don't have those negative credit events, you get a high credit score relatively quickly. And what happened in 2020 and 2021 was that people didn't have mortgage payments. They didn't have student loan payments. Sometimes their rent was deferred. Like they had so many things because of COVID they didn't have to pay. And they had stimulus money. So in fact, everyone's credit score got like a 150 point average boost. I mean, people had stellar credit scores in 2021, much higher than they would have had. Inflation hadn't hit yet. So people they had no negative credit events. They had nothing that would cause them to actually lose their score. And so because of that, people had a generally overinflated credit score. And they were able to get loans even bigger than they could fucking afford. It was ELO boosting. So now we are seeing this massive rise of quote unquote good credit scores going bad, but they were already, their score was too good. It was already better than it should have been. This whole, I mean, we'll never overstate, we'll never fucking fully understand how many ripple effects there were from COVID. The COVID stimulus and rule changes, we're just only now beginning to see the fucking repercussions. Like, it was so fucking crazy. The amount of money, the PPP loans, everything. It was, and it's all coming home to roost, bro.
Their delinquencies is lower, they are a much larger group overall, so the total volume of bad debt is really starting to creep up. We have mentioned it in almost every video this year, but the top 10% of households now account for over 50% of all consumption spending. Now, this statistic normally highlights the growing K-shaped economy, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody in the top 10% is thriving either. A report by Goldman Sachs found that 40% of studied households earning more than $500,000 a year were living paycheck to paycheck.
That's fucking crazy. That's fucking, I did read this report, but it's fucking crazy. If you are making $500,000 a year and living paycheck to paycheck, you have not managed your money well. It's fucking crazy. I don't even care if you have a big family. You should be able to, like, that is an addiction to FOMO or what. I don't know. You have to really fucking want to flex. That is the only way that level of money is paycheck to paycheck. You don't have anything to fucking save. It's lifestyle creep. That's because I'm certain level of lifestyle creep.
Top highlighted reasons were lifestyle inflation, living in expensive cities, and cars. Ironically, the households earning only $200,000 to $300,000 a year were doing considerably better because they were less likely to be surrounded by people who think $500,000 weekend cars and vacation homes are a reasonable expense. Now, we are actually going to make an entire video about how the 1% is bankrupting themselves later this month, so make sure to subscribe if you're interested in that. Of course, there is more to it than just cars.
Smart.
But generally, all of the financial shenanigans that have evolved over the last decade have been directed towards people with higher incomes. They are generally trusted with far more dangerous financial...
This is the Aiden lifestyle creep. Well said. This is fucking Aiden and the fucking hotels and flights he books, bro. It's the lifestyle creep. Bro, the yard's not going to last 50 years. Maybe it will. I don't fucking know. Bro spends like he's fucking... He got the golden ticket. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't know. I always wait for the other shoe to fucking drop, bro. I'm always thinking that it's gonna drop. So I fucking save.
themselves later this month, so make sure to subscribe if you're interested in that. Of course, there is more to it than just cars, but generally all of the financial shenanigans that have evolved over the last decade have been directed towards people with higher incomes. They are generally trusted with far more dangerous financial tools, and if they lose their high-paying jobs, which a lot of people are at the moment, they are every bit as likely to end up in the same financial trouble. Now, all of this is just one side of the story. The problems in the car industry are...
I saw a thing. It was, guy got laid off from Meta. $350K a year total comp. Got 2 kids. Got a fucking crazy expensive car payment. Figured he would be able to quickly bounce back, find another job. He has a great resume. He's from Meta. Still searching. 9 months later. Can't find anything even remotely close to that comp. You know, maybe he can get like a 80, 90K job, which is still obviously very good, but like way, way less. Can't fucking keep up his payments. The fucking house he bought is too expensive. The car he bought is too expensive. 2 kids in fucking private school or whatever. Like, that type of shit is real. It is a sudden fucking shift in your whole lifestyle. And that kind of, you know, I was just reading that. It was a guy telling his story basically on I think one of these subreddits, but it's wild, bro. And as the months add up when you're out of work, it starts to get fucking stressful. I feel for people. Even people in my life, I know people that are searching right now. It's fucking crazy. That's why I mean, we gotta wait 3 years, but I just really fucking want a different president because there's this fucking tariff bullshit and the things we're doing is just we were already in a bad direction before, and now this is like super slowing us down. I really want to we got to make some bigger changes to try and fucking shift gears here. Take that back. All right, I take it back. He's my goat. We are in a golden age. I shouldn't complain. We are in a golden age. Sounds like sedition. I heard what happens to people that commit sedition today.
Even more apparent on the manufacturer side. So go and watch this video next to find out how and why these companies have dug themselves into such a strange hole. And don't forget to like and subscribe to keep on learning.
Yeah. Good video again. Shout out to How Many Works. Great videos this year.